The Jets are 3-11, spiraling to another lost season. It's Aaron Glenn's first year, so many people are saying he gets a pass. But should he? How hot should Aaron Glenn's seat be going into year 2 as the head coach of the New York Jets? Let's talk about it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jets Talk Now. I'm Paul Fiore. Please click like and subscribe. Thanks for joining. Today, I wanted to talk a bit about Aaron Glenn in his first year, give an honest assessment of how the year has gone. How hot should his seat be going into year 2? And a lot of what's triggered me doing this today is what I have seen an uptick on in the last couple of days on X. I think it started with Mike Florio, and look, Mike Florio is a hot take artist who just looks for clicks, and so if he's not talking about Aaron Rodgers and making stuff up, or if he's talking about he likes to get clicks, and I get it, it's kind of his thing. I'm trying to do something a little bit different. My goal is to try to be pretty even keeled in my view of the Jets when I'm talking about them. I know that Aaron Glenn, and when you talk about Aaron Glenn, there you get a triggered response from people. Some people can't wait for him to be fired and didn't ever want him to be hired in the first place, think he's the worst coach that's ever existed, and they don't remember Rich Kotite, or for that matter, you can just go back to last year and Jeff Ulbrich as head coach. Or there are others who are blindly defending him and saying, look, the roster sucks, and what did you expect? And so I think there needs to be some balance and context to the conversation. My goal is to try to take a lot of the emotion out of the argument. Sometimes I'm going to get heated about stuff just because that's the reality of being a Jet fan. It's hard not to get upset or emotional. That's what drives this fandom that all of us are so passionate about. But the reality is, when you just take a step back and you look at Aaron Glenn, you go, okay, this first season is nearly done. They're 3-11. There's 3 games left. Let's all just acknowledge the likelihood of him getting fired is very, very low. Whether you agree with that or not is up to you. That's a different conversation. But I'm not here today to talk about whether we should push for him to be fired or not. I think that we should talk about how hot should his seat be. Well, the only way you can really determine how hot his seat can be, or should be, I should say, is giving a real look at what went right, what went wrong. What does history tell us when it comes to head coaches who've started out like him? To then take a look and say, well, he goes into year 2. These are the expectations, and this is how hot his seat should be. So that's what we'll do today. We'll keep it less about things they need to do in the off season. There'll be time for that. I think, my plan here as the channel evolves. First of all, we changed the name to Jets Talk Now from 50 Years a Jet Fan. Part of being a new channel is figuring out, what you want to call yourself and what you want to focus on. And I love the name 50 Years Jet Fan, but as I've been doing this, I kind of learned that I actually have a lot of people that I engage with that maybe in a different demographic than me as a Jet fan, and have different views because of where they are in their Jet fandom. Maybe they're younger, and I actually have a lot of people I engage with who are in their early 20s or 30s, and even some teens. And then I have people who are older than me. And so, although I'm a 51-year-old long-standing Jet fan who's set in his ways and his views about the team, I want the channel to reflect more broader views. And so long term, my plan is to bring on different guests who will debate kind of different topics that I think will be interesting for those of us who follow this team. And I just thought Jets Talk Now is a better representation of what I'm trying to do, which is just to have an honest dialogue around the team, give my views and opinions, and allow others to express theirs either through comments or engaging with me on Twitter at Paul Fiore is my handle. But this will be an evolving thing for me. I think the remainder of this season we'll do the Jets games, we'll do Jet previews, we'll do post game reaction, we'll do Jets news as it breaks, and then we'll go through the playoffs. I'll definitely be doing shows during the playoffs, doing pods, I should say, during the playoffs, where we'll talk about the playoff games. I love football in general. We'll talk about the draft. We'll talk about free agency as that comes, and we'll have some fun. But let's today make sure we stick with topic number one, which is Aaron Glenn. So, what went wrong this year? When you're 3-11, a lot went wrong. I went into this season, I don't know about others who watched this, but my expectation for the Jets this year was basically between 6 to 8 wins. 8 on the high side if Justin Fields was really good. 6 if he was kind of where he's been. 6, 7. And then I think I did say, I just did a 6-7 reference. Did not mean to. But I did say there is a world where it's a disaster and he's really bad, and then you could win less than 5 games. And the reality is he was really bad, worse than he's ever been. And the team's got 3 wins. They have 3 games left. I have them losing all 3. We'll see. But, a 3-win season coming off of a 5-win season the year before is brutal. And yes, this roster is going to turn over. Probably 50% of this roster will turn over next year. But there are things that went wrong this season that directly are related to Aaron Glenn. So what are those things? I mean, I think it's only fair to say hiring Wilks on the surface seemed like a good idea. Experienced guy, was a head coach, could give Glenn maybe some support as a first-time head coach. Here's the fault in the decision. He let Steve Wilks kind of do what he wanted to do. He let him run his system. And, it's weird because Aaron Glenn was hired with a defensive coaching background. Most people who come in to take on the head coaching role, wherever they get a job, are going to implement the things that they believe in, the things that they know work or has worked for them in their past. And they're going to hire a coach that will either implement those things or has the same fundamental agreement with them on what those schemes should look like, defense or offense. Steve Wilks came in here and he's running Steve Wilks' system, which is an antiquated, old mentality, vanilla scheme, blitz heavy defense that's just they're not, first of all, their talent is not built for it, number one. Number two, he makes 0 adjustments. So getting fired is not shocking. What was shocking was that Glenn, and even now, he's moved Chris Harris into the role, but he's still letting Chris Harris call the plays. So I get Glenn wants to be the CEO coach, but you've got to lean into your strengths, and your strengths is he's a defensive guy. So that was a mistake. Hindsight, he should have brought someone in to run his system, and I hope whoever he hires next will do that, and will have a defensive philosophy that matches what the head coach believes in, so they're aligned. So that was a mistake. I think the other mistake was Justin Fields. Not that he should have kept Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I would be very clear. I loved Aaron Rodgers. I wanted him to keep Aaron Rodgers up front, but then it became very clear that Aaron Rodgers would have been a terrible fit with Aaron Glenn. So I was finally moved on. Hated how they handled it, but whatever. They handpicked Justin Fields to be the guy. Now, you can say there wasn't a lot of choices, and we could agree. That's fine. But again, you have a You hired Tanner Engstrand to run your offense. I would imagine when you talked to Tanner Engstrand and said, "Hey, we really want to do this. What's your vision of what the offense should look like?" He gave him and Muji, this is the principles of the offense I'm building. And they either could have said, well, we want to tailor those things. We like the principles, but we need to tailor it to the quarterback that we like, or we need to go get you a quarterback that can run your system. And it's like square peg, round hole. They go get Justin Fields. Aaron Glenn's like, we're going to let him play quarterback. Now, I remember distinctly everyone going, this is going to be a run heavy offense. And we are going to use Justin Fields' superpower, which is run, 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 run. And maybe they'll throw the ball 15 to 20 times a game. I mean, you guys watch the same stuff I've watched. They took Justin Fields, and I'm not absolving Justin Fields. He's terrible. But they took Justin Fields and they said, okay, we want you to be a pocket passing quarterback who occasionally runs. But, we want you to make quick reads. We want you to be able to be Jared Goff. He's not Jared Goff. He's never been Jared Goff. He doesn't have that. He doesn't process the same way. So what you wound up with is square peg, round hole, complete disaster. And it's like, you know what it's like? I'm trying to think of some version of it. It's like taking someone who their entire life as a coach, they've been an offensive coach, and now you make them the defensive coordinator. Say, go, football, you know what it's supposed to look like, go be successful. Fields was never going to be successful in that system. So I blame him for going and getting Fields running the system they ran, number one. And number two, I blame him for constantly defending Fields and pretending like, well, he just needs to be coached better. I mean, because that's an absurdity. It's like you literally dismissed every coach prior by saying how good it was going to be under you. And then it turns out to be worse. So you did that wrong. The other thing that I think he did wrong was what he did wrong was how he came in here. He came in here telling everybody, we're here to win and win now. We're going to make you a proud fan. At the end of the season, you're going to come back and say, I'm proud of this football team. Well, then during the year when things were going poorly, he got snippy with the media for no apparent reason. And I'm not defending Kaz or Samini or any of these guys, but they weren't asking difficult questions. They weren't being like they've been to other guys. They actually have been very fair to Glenn. And Glenn, for whatever reasons, treated them, not now, I'll say what went right is he's modified this, but he's treated them in a way that like they're like a punchline to him being this bravado head coach. Now, some fans love that, and I understand that. But what you don't understand as a fan is if you come in here puffing your chest out, talking about being a winning team, you're going to build the culture, and you're going to go after the media. Don't expect them to give you any grace at all when you fail. So he's making his job harder for no reason at all. He doesn't need to add that pressure. He doesn't need to do that. He just needs to coach a football team. His results is what should matter, but we have stories about the way he's behaved and all this other stuff, which is just stupid. And so do I think that that was a bad look coming in? Yes. I think that those are things the first-year head coach he should have done differently, and he didn't. So from my perspective, bad coaching hire, bad QB decision, poor with the media up front. And then I would say the last thing that I would actually lean on is, and this speaks to fits for schemes, they decided to give Jamie and Sherwood an extension. Well, I mean, if you know how Steve Wilkes runs a defense, you would probably understand whether Jamie and Sherwood could be an effective linebacker in that defense. And he wasn't. He's undersized for what Wilkes is trying to do. And now we're stuck with 2 more years with a big cap hit if they try to move on from him. Just was not good. It wasn't good stuff. So, first year making mistakes, I get it. But those things all went wrong. And then add on to that a 3-11 record, worst defense in football, no hope right now, and no quarterback on the roster. It's been a rough first year. What has gone right? Well, there's a few things that actually have gone right. And we have to, just as much as we want to criticize, and all the non-Glenn fans want to fire him yesterday over, let's talk about the things we should feel good about, because there are some good things. Chris Banjo was a fantastic hire. He's a fantastic hire. They have the best special teams in football. They are one of the best I've ever seen in football. And that's coming from a team that was one of the worst last year. I mean, if the Jets had any semblance of a kicking game last year, they don't go 5-12. They probably go 9-8, right? At worst. And if they had a decent defense, they probably would have been better than that. But whatever. The point is that the improvement on the special team side has been incredible. That went right. That was great. The Isaiah Williams reclamation project, amazing. I mean, again, Banjo deserves all the credit, but Glenn hired Banjo, so he deserves it indirectly as well. The in-season trades, making the decision to trade Sauce and Q, that has to, yes, Muji deserves credit for the returns he got, because especially the Colts trade, is highway robbery. What they did, though, is truly incredible, because they have set themselves up, if they are at all good at talent evaluation and roster building, to really turn this thing around pretty quickly. And Glenn deserves credit, because he's, by all accounts, he is above Muji in the pecking order when it comes to Woody Johnson and who reports to who and who's responsible for what. I think Muji is the guy making the phone calls and making the trades. I think that he's acting on what Aaron Glenn wants. And I think Aaron Glenn said, he did an evaluation. It's like, hey, we need to rebuild this entire thing. Let's move on from these guys. And that takes a lot of guts and credit deserved to him for those decisions. They were savvy and they were smart at the right time. I think Glenn deserves credit for adapting on the fly about how he is. I was just criticizing him earlier about how he's been with the media. That over the last month, and I think it's since they benched Justin Fields, has improved dramatically. Why? Oh, I think he realized this is not getting me anywhere. And it doesn't mean he's not going to have conflict with them. I think some of it's even playful banter occasionally. But the way he's answering questions today are way more thoughtful than they were. The lack of tension is significantly improved. That matters. I think it's good. He doesn't need to have this Robert Saleh relationship with the media, which was stupid, but he needs to have a professional relationship with the media. And I think that's a positive improvement. I think his in-game decisions have improved. I mean, I watch when he throws the flag for a challenge. Ever since the Denver game, he's doing a nice job on, time management, throwing the flag. I don't know if he's lost a challenge actually this year. Those are really good signs when it comes to being a head coach. And I'd say last thing I would say is he has not lost the locker room. Yes, he fired Steve Wilkes. Yes, the last 2 weeks, the defense was kind of shaky in their effort and execution. I put more of that on Wilkes, which obviously is directly related to Glenn because he hired him. But the players seem to want to play for Aaron Glenn. They seem to like him. And so I would say that the arrow points up when it comes to his messaging to the players, maybe not necessarily to us as fans. And so that if he can become a good head coach, his message getting through to the players matters a lot. So those would be the things that I'd say went right this year. Now, all that said, what does history tell us? I mean, I pulled the stats. They're not great. When you look at the history of head coaches in their first season who won winning percentage of 180 or less, in the Super Bowl era, there's 19 head coaches. Of those 19 in their first year that are basically going to do what Aaron Glenn did, there are 3 that have become legends and are Hall of Fame head coaches, right? And so, you can point to Chuck Noll, Jimmy Johnson, and Bill Walsh, multiple winning Super Bowl head coaches who had an awful first season as a head coach. So there's the positive. There's your 3. Your number 4 is Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor had an awful first season. He had a slightly better than awful second season. And by year 3, they went to the Super Bowl. Now, the nuance to Zach Taylor is since then, they've been below sub 500, and people question whether he should keep his job. So, historically speaking, he went this way and now he's going down. That's it, though. The other 15 guys, I mean, you got some doozies in there. Urban Meyer, Hugh Douglas. I mean, there's some bad names in there, guys. Like, so Aaron Glenn is swimming upstream when it comes to can he become a really good head coach? So how much rope will he be given considering all of the factors that we just talked about? And now he goes into the offseason armed with tons of draft capital, tons of cap room. What do we do? Well, again, if we go to the argument, how hot should his seat be? Glenn derangement syndrome, which is what I'm going to label it, GDS, says he should be gone. He shouldn't have even been hired. Now that he's been hired, he definitely should be fired. That's the one side of the equation. The hardcore, can't stand him, don't ever think he'll figure it out, he's got to go group. So his seat should be on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the hottest, it should be 15. Then you have the other side of the equation where there's a bunch of people that are like, this year's a punt season, no big deal. He's going to get 3-4 years to figure this out. Don't worry about the quarterback position next year. Go figure out a bridge, build the team and the defense and the roster. And then, when we can get a quarterback in 2027, it'll all come together. That's the extreme other side. So what? If they win 3 games next year or 4 games next year, you're completely cool with letting him now go draft a quarterback, have probably another sub 500 season on his 3rd year, and then go into a 4th season. How many guys actually get that? I mean, and survive it? Not many. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to argue about drafting or not drafting a quarterback right now. We'll do that another time. Going into year 2, when you have $100 million in cap space, multiple draft picks, you need to improve this roster. You need to get the right defensive coordinator. You probably need to fix some other position coaches. What is your plan at quarterback? Who's developing the quarterback? All of those things need to go into the pot. I believe that if Aaron Glenn wins less than 6 games next year, it will be a very difficult argument for him to be head coach in year 3. You go 3-14 this year, you go 5-12 next year. I think that that's going to be a real tough one to sell the fan base. I think it's going to be a tough one for the owner to accept. The team is not drawing any fans. There's a ton of apathy. Season ticket holders are canceling. You need to give people something to root for and feel good about. I think he needs to win 7 games next year. I do. 6 is borderline, but I think he needs to get to 7 and 10. I think he needs to be showing growth as a head coach. I think they need to have a true roster improvement that makes you feel good about what 2027 could look like and that they could become a playoff team by year 3. NFL rebuilds should not take 4 years. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot should his seat be? 6. I'll give him a 6 right now. What is a 6? If you're driving in your car and it's like cold outside and you need to warm your butt, you turn the seat heater on. And at first you don't feel much. You're just kind of driving like, all right. And I'll say, oh, I feel that. Okay. That's your 5 or 6. Now, if the seat heater is broken and it just gets scorching hot, it's time to go. You got to get out of the car. You got to get out of the job as a head coach, right? That's just the reality. So to me, he's a 5-6 right now on the warm side. It's not scorching hot by any means. If they have a terrible season next year, I do not expect him to have a 2027 campaign. There'll be people who disagree with me. That's cool. I just don't think you can sit here and be honest about, a head coach, not improving the roster, not getting better and the team not showing path to being successful, and then just keep letting him do the job just because, hey, we're fans of Aaron Glenn. I mean, I'm a fan of Aaron Glenn. I like him. He's a good dude. He's a Jet. I love his story. Became a scout, worked his way up the ranks. Like, nothing more inside of me wants Aaron Glenn to be successful. But I'm a Jet fan first and foremost. If you can't be successful, I don't want you running my football team. I want to finally get some wins. It's been 15 seasons, 15, no playoffs, 10 straight years under 500. It's impossible to do that. And we have accomplished it. So, Aaron Glenn, please figure it out. And show some signs of improvement next year. Get us seven wins. Again, that's not a lot to ask for. 7 wins. I want to see a 7-win season, and I'll feel like, hey, he can get third year. But will it happen? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. There's a lot that has to happen. There's a lot of changes that need to happen. So, we'll see. In the meantime, I will be posting on Friday my Jets Saints preview, my NFL picks, my Fiore 4, which I went undefeated last week. By the way, I went 11-4 in my against the spread picks last week, which is pretty good. And then I will give you a rooting guide that is specifically focused on the Jets getting to number 1. Until they are officially eliminated from getting the number 1 pick, my rooting guide is going to be focused on getting the number 1, not the Giants getting number 1 or Tennessee getting number 1. So I might have things that are different than some others because there are people that are just like, I want the Giants to lose out, have the number 1 pick. Yeah, you still have to hope the Giants are going to want to trade with you if you want the number 1, if you want to move up. Until that possibility doesn't exist, I'm going to just say, hey, here's the things you need to root for, because if they happen, the Jets can become the number 1 draft. They can have the number 1 pick in the draft. Which, no matter how you feel, whether they get a quarterback or not this year, you should want them to have the number 1 pick. So we'll do that on Friday. Other than that, been having a great time doing this. I hope you guys, like the channel and subscribe. Feel free to put comments below and engage on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Have a good one.